Frank and the Knights of the ecoquest. King Frank and the Knights of the ecoquest. King Frank and the Knights of the ecoquest.
Episode 15, The Poetry Joust.
At a cave not far from the castle walls, the royal family stood watching, expectant and enthralled, as Pete the Piper and the knights led the excavation to find the Fountain of Frank's location. Pete doubted the spot which was marked on their map, as their spades only hit trash and plastic wrap. An explosion of water shot into the air. They hit the right spot and the fountain was there.
Who'll be first to sample the water?
Well, surely you, my princess. Go ahead, daughter.
The princess stepped closer and cupped her hands.
With this first sip, I dedicate this fountain to all in our land.
As excavation finished and everyone cheered, Pete shoveled more soil.
I haven't seen anything like this for many a year. Looks like an ancient water pipe of a supply type. A very long time ago, this water was carried and probably flowed to the castle.
Then come, one and all, to the castle we go!
Now, where the water came into the castle grounds, I just can't work it out. I'm looking for some kind of water spout.
I was just thinking, when you said spout, could the bin be the place where the water came out?
And since King Frank has now changed the Binstone Challenge rules, Pete could open it up with his tools.
Pete's team and the knights got straight on the case. They drilled and they hammered and they levered the base. They called on spectators to push and to heave. The bin toppled over and beyond belief was a deep well once fed by the ancient spring. Pete put his head down it, then stared at the king.
There once was a pump down there. This giant bin was a chink.
And it shall again hold water for the kingdom of Frank.
This is wonderful news, my princess, king and queen. But there's more eco-treasure that's truly green.
An eco-delight. Pray, tell us good night.
I invented a clever recycling feat when we marooned in a desert shack. I call it refillability. That's what I brought back. When my knights and horses needed a drink, I filled our 3 helmets up to the brim. We don't need to use and throw bottles away. We only need one wee refill every day.
That idea is truly a wizard no-brainer. From this day on, my subjects will have a refillable container. And as for our knights, I present you with pouches of diamonds and precious gemstones, and land for each of you to build a home. In the castle, your portraits will forever be seen. Is there anything else I've forgotten, my queen?
Give them new horses, armour and lances, and we'll invite you to all of our parties and dances.
May I beg your pardon, I'll just take the lance. I've a spinal injury I got at a dance.
You've been most generous, but that money and land we'd like you to bank in an account for the upkeep of the Fountain of Frank.
Philanthropic knights, we accept your wish. In honouring your charity, the tradition is this. You will be dubbed with new knightly eco-names, so that all in the kingdom will know of your fame.
Knight of the refillable bottle shall be Catrain's appellation, and Leofric too will be known to all nations as Knight of the Safe Water Supply. A final epithet I will apply to Alf, who, though ill, fought valiantly for us. Rise, Sir Knight Monster Slayer of Landfilosaurus.
Wow.
You have shown eco-problems can be solved when we break our bad habits and have the resolve.
You rose to the challenge and answered our call. Refills from the fountain for one and all. Furthermore, to commemorate this day with nostalgia and cheer, a poetry joust we shall have every year. Go forth, write your rhymes to compete, for tomorrow your jousting opponents you'll meet.
And what could complement that, or even be greater? I was promoted to jousting commentator. So here we are, and we have some champion knights to offer you today for the kingdom's first poetry joust, a poetry slam. Let's now hand over to King Frank, who'll get it underway.
Oh, me? Am I on? Presenting? Yes, let's see. Catrain and Leofric will against each other compete with a poem that will their opponent unseat.
And what about me?
Alf, you'll be the tournament's main referee.
But how does a joust work? Is it like a fight?
2 jousters are chosen with lances and, of course...
horses.
Each rider charges to strike their opponent. That is the basis of a jousting tournament. But in this one, it's not a lance that must score, but the good, bold delivery of a poem. Back to you, Heroldia. Now, what's next in store?
Well, back here, we're watching the knights get ready to recite their poem whilst charging at each other. It requires quick-witted mind and a hand that is steady. A knight could be knocked out by a versical line, or be stunned by a stanza or a couplet of rhyme. Let's find out what type of poem each has picked. First, how about you, Leofric?
A double-dactyl poem is mine. 2 stanzas packed with 4 or 6 syllable lines. So watch out, Katrine, for those syllabic hits. The line 4 and line 8 rhyme. And a poetry slammer and jouster in his prime.
Well, let's hope that double-dactyl will ramp up your score. Or will it become a poetry bore? Katrine, what will you be going with today?
A 5-line limerick, punchy and hits straight at the heart, hoping to blow Leofric's double-dactyl apart.
To start the joust, it's over from me to Alf, our referee.
Poetry jousters, be at the ready to charge. And advance!
They're off, and Katrine's limerick is in first and in with a chance.
There once was a traditional king who just wouldn't change anything. Then by royal command, he cleaned up our land and took care of his subjects' well-being.
And here comes Leofric's double-dactyl counter-attack as the horses turn back.
Mightily, knightly, Katrine, Alf, Leofric, finders of the long-lost fountain of Frank. You brought back the gift of refillability. Knights of the ecoquest, receive Frank's thanks.
Well, truly remarkable jousting rhyme. Alf, who has won with their bardic lines?
I have our Royal Highness's scorecards here, and I quote, Leofric is the winner! And also by audience vote.
Leofric, congratulations to you.
And to Katrine too.
Furthermore, I announce another poetry joust we shall plan, with poetical verse from across the land. Whether poems from our kingdom or beyond our domain, send us your rhymes that will entertain. To remember this day, the poem Leofric has penned shall become our kingdom's brand new national anthem.
So Leofric's double-dactyl creation was the talk of the Kingdom of Frank's population, who along with the royals learnt the anthem henceforth known as the National Frankthem. And from that day the castle's bell ringers, minstrels, trumpeters, drummers and singers performed the anthem at King Frank's behest to remember the knights of the ecoquest.
Knightly, knightly, Katrine of Leofric, finders of the long-lost fountain of Frank. You brought back the gift of refillability. Knights of the ecoquest, receive Frank's thanks.
So the king and his subjects honoured the quest of 3 knights who'd shown valour at truly its best. They'd survived the ordeal in their pants and a vest, and now they deserved a bit of a rest. A feast was arranged by the royal hosts, with dancing and mead and a veggie roast. And as for the kingdom, what could be wished for more than a clean-up of trash and a fountain restored? A pure water supply and very big tanks, for which all of the kingdom offered their thanks. And ingrained in the Kingdom of Frank's folklore was a poem that lived on for evermore. Leofric's epic tale of a knightly test.
King Frank and the Knights of the ecoquest.
In King Frank and the Knights of the ecoquest by Martin Kishko, you heard the voices of Toya Wilcox, Garcia Brown, Akib Khan, Nathan Morris, Andrew Dunn, Andrina Carroll, Emily Spowage, Ian Billings, and Claire Wyatt. The music is by Martin Kishko, and the sound design by John Scott. King Frank and the Knights of the ecoquest is produced by Andy Cartwright as a soundscape production for fun kids, supported by the Audio Content Fund.
King Frank and the Knights of the ecoquest.